This video is sponsored by Aura. More on them a little later. A few months ago, we brought you a list of stories about some of the stupidest and strangest 911 calls that we'd ever come across. At the end of that video, we asked if you'd like to see more stories like this in the future, and the answer seemed to be a pretty resounding yes. Well, this week we were feeling like taking a bit of a break from the heavier side of true crime, so we decided that now was as good a time as any to jump back into the world of wacky 911 calls. This time, we've even included a couple of 999 calls for you UK viewers out there. Once again, if you enjoy these stories and want to see more, let us know in the comments below. With that out of the way, here are 6 more of the dumbest 911 calls. You remember those Snickers ads from a few years ago? The ones where they'd have a famous person standing in for someone acting crazy, and the whole punchline was, "You're not you when you're hungry." I feel like that really sums up this first story. It happened in the city of Alliance, Ohio, back in July of 2015, when a 44-year-old woman named Tracy McLeod went to pick up some takeout at a local Chinese restaurant. After eating some of the food and deciding it wasn't to her liking, Tracy became so hangry that she dialed 911.
Alliance Police and Fire, where's your emergency?
At Main Moon in College Plaza.
What's the problem?
I have bought some Chinese food and it's not to par to me, and I asked to get my money back and they acting like they don't understand me and took my food and won't give me my money back.
What's your name?
Tracy McLeod.
And this is why you called 911?
What am I supposed to do? Jump over the thing and beat them up and get my money back?
You could have called the regular police line instead of the life-threatening emergency line.
Well, they transferred me. Wait a minute. They transferred me to you.
I will send someone to you.
I think my favorite part of that interaction is when she talks about jumping over the counter, as if there was some kind of binary choice between that and calling 911. Like her only 2 options were to go full beast mode on the employees at this restaurant, or call a number dedicated to dealing with life or death emergencies. That being said, I should explain a couple of things for context. For starters, the argument apparently was not about the fact that the restaurant staff refused to give Tracy a refund, period. It was because she initially paid with a credit card, but then demanded the refund be given to her in cash. Now, I could be completely wrong here, but in my experience, this is pretty normal. A lot of places will insist on giving refunds in the same way that they were paid in, especially when it comes to credit cards. As for what Tracy said at the end of the call about being transferred, this was apparently true. However, according to reports from the time, she still would have had to have dialed 911 in the first place in order to reach the regional dispatch center. So, long story short, she never tried to call that non-emergency line. It was for that reason that Tracy was arrested and charged with misuse of the 911 system. The following month, she was ordered to pay a $250 fine and spend 3 days in jail. She was also offered 10 days of community service in lieu of serving the jail time. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the words trapped in a car, I think of a number of pretty dangerous situations. You know, a serious car accident that's preventing you from getting out. Maybe you're stuck in a snowbank and you can't open the doors. Heck, maybe you just plunged off a bridge and your vehicle is slowly filling up with water. What you're probably not thinking of is what happened in this next story. Apparently the 911 operator actually thought this was an early April Fool's joke at the beginning. And honestly, I can't say that I blame her. As you'll hear though, the caller was 100% serious. The whole thing took place sometime in late March of 2009 in the city of Kissimmee, Florida. It began when a woman placed a call to 911 saying that she was trapped in her car. According to her, the situation was quite desperate. None of the electrical components of the vehicle were working, and she said it was getting quite hot inside. Well, apparently the Florida Sun had already baked this woman's noodle because she had forgotten one pretty important thing. Let's take a listen.
What's the emergency?
Hi, I'm at the corner of Pleasant Hill and John Young Parkway. I'm in a Walgreens parking lot, and my car will not start. I'm locked inside my car. I cannot open my car. I can't get the windows down. Nothing electrical works. And it's getting very hot in here, and I'm not feeling well. I need some help.
Just, are you able to pull the lock up on the door and open the door? You should be able to just pull the lock up even if it's electrical.
I've tried it. Oh, okay. All right, I got that going. Okay.
So are you able to get out of the car now?
Yes, I got the door open.
Okay.
All righty. I'll see if I can get AAA or something.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, there's a pretty sad update to this story. Though the woman in the call did initially make it out of her car, a few weeks after this, she actually passed away. Yeah, she was entering a building and she had to go through one of those revolving glass doors. By the time emergency responders found her, she had walked herself to death like she was on a human hamster wheel. Okay, that's not true. I'm just being a jerk. In the grand scheme of things, this one was pretty harmless. I gotta say though, if it were me, I might have died of embarrassment.
This message is for you from the Criminal Investigation Department of Revenue Canada. The reason behind this call is to notify you that we have
didn't see you there. I was just listening to my voicemails, and as per usual, I've got 10 new robocalls from Canada Revenue. Looks like I owe them thousands of dollars again, and for some reason, they want me to pay them in gift cards. Seems legit, right? Yeah, I don't think so either. All jokes aside, as much as this particular scam might seem painfully obvious, criminals are using it and others like it for a reason. They work, and what's worse, not all of them are this unsophisticated. It brings up a good question though. How are scammers getting your and my information in the first place? Unfortunately, in our increasingly digital age, information like your full name, email, home address, and even your health records are becoming easier and easier to find online. Luckily, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's video, comes in. Aura helps protect your personal information from being sold on the dark web and by data brokers. They alert you if your data is compromised and automatically opt you out of data broker websites to help keep your information out of the wrong hands. This is more important than ever, especially with data breaches like the recent AT&T incident where over 73 million customer records were leaked on the dark web. Aura provides all-in-one protection, monitoring your credit, offering fraud alerts, and even helping you secure your online accounts with a password manager. With Aura always working in the background to help keep your information safe, you can focus on the things that matter to you, knowing you have that extra layer of security. I know I definitely value my privacy, and if you're looking to step up yours too, right now Aura is offering a free 2-week trial to Crime Zone viewers. Head over to aura.com/crimezone or check out the link below to get your free trial and start securing your personal information today. In early December of 2010, the English county of Kent got one of the heaviest dumpings of snow that they'd seen in quite some time. The entire area was covered, with some parts of the county seeing as many as 18 inches within just a few short hours. While the situation might have been great for those dreaming of a white Christmas, the reality quickly set in as soon as people tried to basically do anything remotely productive. Roadways became a slushy, icy nightmare, and getting basically anywhere became a challenge as vehicles skidded off roads into each other or simply got stuck. To say that police and other emergency responders had their hands full would have been an understatement. According to reports from the time, they were inundated with thousands of 999 calls related to the heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures across the county. It was for this reason that they were understandably not very impressed when they received the following phone call from a woman who claimed she needed help with an urgent theft case.
Hello, I need the police, please.
Okay, what's happening?
Well, what happened was there's been a theft from outside my house.
Okay, when did this occur?
Well, I'm not sure exactly because I ain't been out to check on him for about 5 hours. But I went out about 5 minutes ago to have a fag, and he's gone. So it could be in the last 5 hours. But I know there's CCTV up this road.
Who's gone, sorry?
My snowman.
Right, your snowman's been stolen.
Yeah.
Right, okay, in the last 5 hours.
Well, 4 to 5 hours, I can't be sure exactly.
And what do you mean? What, a snowman actually made out of snow or an ornament?
No, he's made out of snow. I made him myself.
Right, okay.
He had 2 of my teaspoons as his arms and money on his face. I'm not being funny. I know it's only a snowman, but I thought it'd be fun. What with it being icy and that, people ain't been walking up and down the road. It ain't a nice road, but at the end of the day, you don't expect someone to nick your snowman, do you know what I mean?
Just in case you were wondering, no, the operator didn't hang up on her there at the end, though I imagine she probably wanted to. The only recordings of this call we could find all cut off pretty abruptly, but according to news sources from the time, the operator went on to calmly explain to this woman that the theft of a snowman was not a life or death emergency. Go figure. Anyway, the woman who made the call was never identified. However, police did specifically reference her call in a public service announcement about not abusing the 999 emergency system. In a statement to the media, Chief Superintendent Alistair Hope had this to say.
People may think, why on earth are we highlighting a silly call like that? And the reason, of course, is at the moment we're experiencing a large number of calls into this centre from people needing assistance, using the 999 system, over double what we would normally expect. And what we don't want is for people to waste their time by calling 999 on an emergency line when really the matter is not an emergency.
In July of 2016, a husband and wife from Texas named James and Isabel Lassiter were visiting relatives out of state when they decided to head out for some dinner. They chose what was supposed to be a fun, wholesome family establishment in the city of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. However, little did they know that this one simple decision would change their lives forever. That's because before the meal was over, Isabel would be the victim of an indecent assault. The perpetrator of that assault? Well, he was a 6-inch tall plastic children's water toy, commonly referred to by the nickname Pee-Pee Boy.
911 emergency. Hello, I'm not from this area, so my apologies if y'all have a different protocol where the town I'm in, we don't have any number but 911 to call. Okay, what's going on? Here's my situation. I'm at the Wasabi Japanese Steakhouse off of 78A in Murfreesboro. Okay. The chef here that was doing our meal, at the end of the meal, pulled out this little frickin' doll with its pants down, and he shot water on my wife out of its.
For those that have never been to a Japanese restaurant like this, allow me to provide a little background context. These places are commonly referred to in North America as hibachi restaurants. If we want to get super pedantic, technically most of the time what people are actually referring to is teppanyaki, which is a completely different kind of grill. Hibachis are cylindrical in shape, have an open top, and are designed to burn wood or charcoal, whereas teppanyaki is grilling on a large metal flat top. The word teppanyaki is literally derived from the Japanese words for iron plate and grilling. Anyway, when you go for teppanyaki, you're normally seated around the metal flat-top grill with the chef in the middle. The reason for this is because as the chef cooks, they'll generally make a little show of it. You know, spinning the little spatulas, firing shrimp into people's mouths from a distance, stuff like that. It's actually quite impressive, and I'm sure it takes a lot of skill. But a lot of it is very silly. One of the most common things during this kind of dinner service, though, has to be the little onion ring volcano stunt. Basically, the chef makes a little mini cone shape by stacking cut onions, and then squirts some oil in to make flames come shooting out of the top. Now, from what I understand, at this particular restaurant, there was an extra little gag. Basically, the chef had this small plastic doll that looked like a man. When you pulled the doll's shorts down, it would squirt water from its crotch area, hence the name Pee-Pee Boy. The joke would be that the chef would use Pee-Pee Boy to put out the fire, but that he would also accidentally squirt someone in the face as well. It's like a fun, stupid little thing that almost no one takes very seriously. I say almost no one, because that was not the case with James Lassiter and his family. After his wife, Isabel, got sprayed in the face, he called 911 with this very serious accusation.
That is is a sexual assault against my wife and totally disrespectful. I mean,
okay,
I want this chef arrested for sexual assault.
Tell me again what happened, sir.
I'm not from Tennessee, so I don't know Tennessee laws. But in Texas, that is sexual assault.
All right, start from the beginning, sir. Tell me what happened.
Okay, at the end of the meal, the chef pulled out this 6 or 7 inch tall doll. It had his pants pulled down, and it shot water on my wife out of it.
Okay, so the chef had his pants down,
yeah, the chef that was cooking our meal did that at the end of the meal.
Yes, sir.
Now,
so
I don't know about the law.
He took the doll out of his.
That is considered sexual assault. He pulled the doll out in front of me, my wife, and my 2 of my kids, and 2 of my grandkids.
Okay.
And shot water on my wife out of his.
Okay.
Now, in Texas, that is sexual assault.
Okay.
I don't know
What's your name, sir?
James Lassiter, Lassiter. I want to press charges. I want this guy arrested for sexual assault.
And what's the phone number for you, Mr. Lassiter?
My number is...
Okay, are you still in the restaurant, or are you like out in your car, or where?
Yeah, I'm outside at my car. I tried speaking to the management about it. They're not going to do anything about it.
Okay, what kind of car are you going to be waiting in?
I am it's a rental. It's a Chrysler Town and Country black.
A black Town and Country?
Yeah, Chrysler.
Okay.
I took my family over across the highway to the putt and game place, and I came back over here to talk to their management about it.
Okay, so you're in the parking lot of Wasabi, right?
They don't care.
Okay.
Sorry?
You said you were in the parking lot of Wasabi. Okay.
Wasabi Japanese steak.
Okay. All right, I'll have an officer on the way over to talk to you. Okay, Mr. Lassiter?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When police arrived at Wasabi Japanese Steakhouse, they took statements from everyone involved. They also had a closer look at Pee-Pee Boy, with an officer later writing in a report, quote, "I observed the toy to have no penis and just a hole for the water to shoot out." Seriously, folks, you can't make this stuff up. In a follow-up media report, the Lassiters doubled down on their claims and said that they didn't care that Pee-Pee Boy wasn't anatomically correct. It was still sexual assault. They also pulled out the old "think of the children" line of argumentation, stating, quote, "This was a toy meant for adults, used in front of minor children. If the toy was in a bar, it'd be a different situation. But this was in a family restaurant, with 13 to 14-year-olds at the table. If people think it's so funny, why don't people go buy that toy and squirt a cop in the face with it and see what happens?" For his part, the owner of Wasabi, Johnny Huang, said that kids were some of Pee-Pee Boy's biggest fans. He told reporters that one of the first questions he usually gets from children who've been to the restaurant before is whether he still has the plastic doll. A manager at the restaurant also said that they believed the real source of James and Isabel's anger was that they weren't able to get a free meal. The manager told the media that no one in the family complained when the incident happened. It wasn't until about 30 minutes later that James came back and allegedly gave them an ultimatum. According to the manager, James threatened that he could either refund the entire cost of his large party's meal, or he would get the police involved and the business would be shut down. Given the ridiculousness of all of this, it probably won't surprise you to learn that the teppanyaki chef was not hauled off in handcuffs. In fact, as far as we can tell, this was the end of the whole situation, as after taking statements, police said that they would not be investigating any further. That being said, it seems that the incident was the end of an era for Pee-Pee Boy. Johnny Huang said during an interview that while the Lassiters were the first people to have a problem with the doll in his more than 10 years of running restaurants, going forward he would only bring the doll out if someone specifically asked for it. This next story is courtesy of England's West Yorkshire Police, who released a clip of this exchange in the summer of 2015 as part of a public appeal about the problem of nuisance 999 calls. It was meant to provide a window into the ridiculous and unnecessary calls that dispatchers have to deal with every day. Honestly, I don't think they could have picked a better example to illustrate their point. I mean, just imagine having a real emergency and not being able to get through to police because this guy was taking up the only available operator.
Westchurch Police, what's the emergency?
My girlfriend has let me the cat eat my bacon.
Sorry?
My girlfriend let the cat eat my bacon.
Right, okay. What would you like the police to do with regards to that, sir?
Because I'm in the mood to buy our.
So you want to beat up your girlfriend because the cat's eating your bacon?
Yeah, don't speak to her. You up? I want to press charges.
Against who? Your girlfriend or the cat?
You up?
Who do you want to press charges against? Your girlfriend or the cat?
Both of them.
Right. Sir, it's not a criminal offence to let a cat eat your bacon, okay? And we don't arrest cats. I'm very sorry.
No, but my girlfriend allowed the cat to do it.
Right, I'm very sorry, sir, but it's not a 999 emergency because your girlfriend's let the cat eat the bacon. I do apologise, but it's not a police matter.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Okay, love.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I have to admit, as ridiculous as this man is, I was pretty tickled listening to this audio because of his accent. My grandparents on my mom's side were from Yorkshire, and there's little bits in there that remind me of them, especially the way he says love at the end. They always used to refer to you as either love or pet. That being said, that's pretty much where the comparison ends. I just want to be clear, they did not spend their days tying up the country's emergency lines with complaints about stolen salted pork products. While this was the only piece of audio that West Yorkshire Police provided in their public appeal, they also brought up a couple of other dishonorable mentions in news reports at the time. There was the guy who called about a fly in his bedroom, or the man who called at 2 a.m. because he couldn't remember the name of the actor that played Magnum P.I. There were even other ridiculous animal-related cases, including one woman who dialed 999 because her boyfriend let her pet mice out of their cage. In that call, she told the operator, quote, "I'm currently trying to coax my mice back into their beds, but some of them are mummies, and they need to get back to their babies." Unlike most of the stories in today's list, in this last case, it was actually the dispatcher who screwed up. Admittedly, it's debatable whether the thing he was being called about was a true police emergency or not. But regardless, the way he reacted was unprofessional, as we'll see. It all started one afternoon in the spring of 2005 when a woman in the Fort Worth suburb of Watauga, Texas, dialed 911. The woman, identified only by the first name Lori, had arrived home to find her 2 adolescent daughters engaged in a physical altercation. The younger of the 2 girls, who was 12 years old and who had a history of emotional problems, was apparently out of control. When she started kicking a hole into one of the doors inside the home, Lori decided to call for help. She was connected with a 5-year dispatcher with the Watauga Department of Public Safety named Mike Forbes. Unfortunately for Lori, she didn't exactly get the response she expected.
911, what is your emergency?
Yes, I need a police officer over here at 7th Court.
What's going on?
I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I just got home from work. They were physically fighting with each other, and one of them kicked a hole in a door, and they're 12 and almost 14, and the 12-year-old is completely out of control, and I can't, physically, if she's as big as I am, I can't control her.
Okay, did you want us to come over to shoot her? Are you there?
Excuse me?
That's a joke. Okay, so...
Who are you? What is your name?
Mike Forbes.
Oh man, that 3 seconds of dead air between the joke and when she responds just feels like an eternity, doesn't it? It certainly must have been for Mike, because he immediately regretted saying it and began apologizing. Unfortunately, Lori wasn't in much of a forgiving mood.
Okay, that's not funny, Mike. And guess what? I'm going to file a formal complaint.
I don't blame you a bit.
Because you know what? This is really not very funny.
I know it's not, ma'am.
Well, guess what? It's not going to be very funny when I go in front of your supervisor and tell him.
I understand.
I guess he can just listen to the tape.
Yes, he can. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, sorry doesn't cut it. I need a police officer.
Hold on. Ma'am?
Yeah?
Okay. 10 and 12 or 12 and 14?
12 and 13 and a half.
Okay. All right. I'll get police officers on the way. They're on an emergency call right now, but as soon as I can get one free, I'll get them on the way.
Oh, well, don't rush or anything.
Well, I apologize for my smart remark, and I will get them en route as soon as I can.
Okay, and what is your name again?
Mike Forbes. My number is 605.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
After the call was finished, Mike went to his supervisor and explained what had happened. He received an official letter of reprimand a couple of days later, followed by a second letter of reprimand from the local chief of police, which read in part, quote, "This type of response cannot be tolerated, and this letter shall serve as notice that any future unprofessional responses while answering the 911 line will be cause for termination." Now, as far as both Mike and Lori were concerned, this is where the situation should have ended. However, that's not what happened. Once the media got a hold of the 911 tape, the story blew up across the state. And as is the case with so many stories like this, that's when things got truly stupid. It started out wholesome enough. Many came to Mike's defense and pointed out that being a 911 operator is a difficult and stressful job. Of course, there were those that had to take it too far. Quickly, things became less about recognizing that we all make mistakes, and instead turned into criticizing and shaming Lori for her parenting. The obsessive coverage in local news media didn't help things. Letters to the editor and op-eds began pouring into the papers about the 911 call, and an area radio station devoted 3 hours of coverage to the story over just a few days. This same radio station provided Mike and his wife with a trip to Disney World, all while Lori and her family were being inundated with hundreds of harassing and threatening emails and phone calls from their listeners. Thankfully, everyone eventually moved on, presumably when something else pissed them off. I think that's what interests me the most about this story. We see this kind of stuff all the time now, and it tends to get blamed a lot on social media. And I mean, I'm not going to say that social media doesn't pour gasoline on a lot of these fires, but this all took place in 2005. I think if anything, it's a reminder that people have always loved a good outrage story. Before we wrap up, we just wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. As always, we hope you found today's story interesting and informative. A huge thanks as well to today's sponsor, Aura. Don't forget to check out the link in the description below to get your 2-week free trial. If you're looking for additional ways to support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.